The Sigma man is unquestionably mysterious, from his brains to his ambition and rebellious temperament. He's not the kind of guy you can anticipate or fully comprehend. He is a member of a group of males that is not part of the social order. As a result, he behaves differently than what she would expect. When it comes to dating and relationships, that is also accurate. For many single people, finding a spouse or someone to settle down with is a top priority. It is simply the norm. What we have been taught to be the norm and what people believe they want or need is a different matter than whether those desires are genuine or whether they have been in some way compelled by social conditioning. But the Sigma guy is unaffected by this. He actually feels the exact opposite. And we'll be looking at 8 reasons in this video. The Sigma guy usually remains unmarried. Number 1. It's overwhelming to be with someone. It typically doesn't take the Sigma male long to begin to feel stifled and overpowered by the love connection if he finds himself engaging in romantic relationships. Even when things are going great, he is accustomed to leading a solitary life. Therefore, it can be quite upsetting to suddenly feel like he is responsible for the happiness of another person. The Sigma male will eventually start to long for his own place and for the simpler times when his only responsibility was to himself. The issue will often go one of 3 ways for the Sigma in this case. Either his partner will be sympathetic and provide him with the room and acceptance he requires. The Sigma's actions will drive them away, or the Sigma may end the connection abruptly out of concern that it will continue. They're not used to having a romantic partner intrude on their alone existence. Thus, for the Sigma male, commitment can be a challenging transition. So staying single and making solely personal commitments to himself is considerably simpler in his eyes. Number 2. He despises conflict and giving in. Any love relationship will inevitably experience problems along the road that must be resolved through compromise. Sigma male is well aware that a relationship's honeymoon period ends eventually. In addition, he will eventually have to deal with things getting difficult, the stigma, avoiding drama like the plague, and detesting being around negativity or emotional conflict because he finds both to be mentally taxing and detrimental to his well-being. The fundamental idea of a partnership is compromise, and the individual hates being forced to change his behavior or perform in a particular way. Only having to answer to himself, there is no need to compromise or check in with a significant other. In general, being able to live life on his own terms encourages the stigmatized guy to avoid getting into any form of serious relationship and to be alone for a long time. Number 3. He is reticent. The Sigma guy typically stays unmarried because he loves to keep his cards very close to his chest and is very private. This may cause people he doesn't know to be turned off by his seeming coldness and aloofness. However, he is more of a wallflower than the life and soul of the party because of his introversion. This is demonstrated by the fact that he can only converse comfortably with 1 or 2 individuals at once and that he must schedule a precise time in advance to meet up with a particular person. Extroverts, on the other hand, are more than happy to create plans on the spur of the moment. The Sigma is recognized for being a forward-thinking, reserved individual, and prefers to remain alone themselves, interacting exclusively with others. He is unlikely to approach anyone who catches his attention when he is out and about because of his introversion and lack of confidence. As a result, the Sigma only encounters possible companions occasionally. Number 4. His priorities are his aims. He is intensely focused on completing his objectives because he is a Sigma guy. By default, these are his main priorities. It follows that everything else in his life is secondary. That includes sexual relationships, which he views as nothing more than sources of distraction and, hence, barriers to his achievement. They demand effort, focus, and commitment, which the average male simply does not have time for. He typically isn't willing to make concessions when it comes to time. He has a lot of ambition and understands that time is our most valuable resource. If he spends time with someone else, he won't have as much time for the things that are most important to him, including developing professionally, finishing side projects, and taking care of his physical and emotional well-being. He is diverted from his objectives by a relationship, which saps his vitality and prevents him from pursuing his aims. And this has such a significant impact on him that he chooses singledom virtually always. Number 5. He challenges the status quo. Expectations and pressure. The stigma truly gets worn down when someone is required to comply with others' demands. He naturally rebels against social norms, whether they are set by his friends, his work, or society as large. When we apply it to his relationships, we see a handful of ways in which this fundamental disdain for being told what is normal is demonstrated. First off, the Sigma male's energy levels can be significantly depleted when he is required to do things as a pair that he is not in the mood for, such as geek-outs, or when he is required to mingle with his partner's friends or family. It takes enough effort for him to interact with those he already knows. Never mind adding another person and their baggage to the situation. Second, he doesn't see how society indicates that we must be in a relationship in order to be happy and how that's what is expected of us because he defies social norms. The Sigma man rejects the idea of one. Unless you count the one as being him, of course. He doesn't like the idea that we need a better half because he thinks that ultimately, the most important relationship we have is the one we have with ourselves. This is total nonsense because we are complete enough on our own. According to him, when he has control over his everyday activities, he is happier and feels more free. So it is clear why male stigma frequently results in single status. Number 6. He has a high level of independence. The Sigma man may occasionally appear to be obstinate to people who don't know him well, but he is really a force of genuine independence. He is a man who has a strong sense of self, is aware of what he wants, and never depends on anyone. He doesn't require other people's approval because his decisions, feelings, and views are the only things that actually matter to him. The Sigma is only concerned with meeting his own needs and achieving his own objectives since he has spent so much time by himself and in his mind learning to know himself. He has learned to be wholly independent and entirely disregards because of this mentality. The idea that being in a relationship is more valuable in society. Anyone who is in a relationship with the Sigma man must be willing to put up with his seeming intransigence in order for things to work out. But eventually they all came to the conclusion that it had been worth the wait to have a great male in their life. Number 7. He is too content to be alone. The Sigma man would always pick himself if he had to decide someone to spend the night with on a remote island. He enjoys every opportunity to be by himself because he is an introvert. As a result, he typically doesn't put finding a spouse on his list of goals for the year. He has, however, already mastered the art of self-care and self-sufficiency and established the ideal relationship with himself. It's simple to understand how a relationship doesn't enter into the life of a Sigma student too readily when we consider all of his interests, pursuits, and personal objectives that keep him occupied. He is happiest and most at ease in his own flesh when he is by himself. The Sigma male is not in any way anxious to start dating. Even if he may acknowledge the advantages of being in one, he is accustomed to having questions about how he doesn't feel lonely. However, for the Sigma guy, being alone need not equate to loneliness. He is happiest when he is alone, therefore for that reason. Number 8. A free spirit, he is. Being so independent, a Sigma guy avoids anything that makes him feel confined because his freedom is one of the most important things to him. Unfortunately, the dynamic of a typical relationship is such that being in a committed one typically makes him feel tied down, which, while we're on the subject, merely causes worry and despair. The visible lack of commitment in relationships is not all that the Sigma male values. One of the defining traits of a Sigma guy is his preference to lead a nomadic existence whenever possible. He dislikes monotony and doesn't like to spend his entire life in one spot. His aspirations and objectives typically involve seeing the world, living abroad, engaging with various cultures, and visiting stunning nations. It may be challenging for Sigma males to date because of their desire for complete freedom. They are aware that they might not be around for very long. They therefore don't see the benefit of beginning anything significant. It's just much simpler for the Sigma male to remain single in order to prevent grief for either side later on.
Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And do share with your friends so we may continue to create them. To see more videos like this, subscribe and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Additionally, make sure to check out our other videos. Thank you for watching.